Not long after the visit from the angels, Abraham and Sarah had reason to rejoice, for Sarah gave birth to a son. She and Abraham named him Isaac, meaning laughter. For Sarah said, "Yahweh has made me laugh with joy. Whoever hears this news will laugh with me. Who but Yahweh could have done this?" Now Abraham had 2 sons to carry on his work. However, as the boys grew older, signs of trouble began to appear. Hagar, Ishmael's mother, became arrogant. Since her son was the oldest, she felt that she should be first among the women of the household. She spoke disrespectfully to Sarah. When Sarah asked her to apologize, Hagar answered with angry words. Sarah went at once to Abraham. "You must get rid of this Egyptian woman and her son. Drive them out. They are both a danger to Isaac." "How can I do that?" Abraham protested. "Ishmael is my son. Hagar is his mother. I love them both. How can I send them away?" "You do not see what I see. They turn one face to you and another to me." Sarah went on to describe Hagar's rudeness and arrogance. She told Abraham how Hagar had resumed worshiping the gods of Egypt. Worse, she encouraged Ishmael to worship them too. Ishmael was a wild boy, a deadly shot with the bow and arrow, and skilled in the use of other weapons as well. "I fear for Isaac," Sarah told Abraham. "If you do not send Hagar and Ishmael away, they will corrupt our son, or worse, kill him." Abraham did not know what to do. How could he bring himself to banish Ishmael, his beloved and oldest son? On the other hand, could he ignore Sarah's warning? Sarah was not cruel or jealous. She would never suggest something so drastic unless she felt Isaac was in real danger. Abraham asked Yahweh for guidance. Yahweh spoke to him, saying, "Do not be concerned about Hagar or Ishmael. Do what Sarah tells you. Listen to her, since Isaac's descendants will be your own. As for Ishmael, I will watch over him for your sake. He too will become the founder of a mighty nation, for he is your flesh and blood." Abraham arose the next morning. With a heavy heart, he gave Hagar a goatskin water bag and several loaves of bread. He told her that she and Ishmael could no longer be part of his household. He was sending her and her son away. Hagar pleaded with Abraham to change his mind. How could she and Ishmael survive in a barren desert? Abraham reassured Hagar that Yahweh would look after them. He described the track that would lead her to the wells at Beersheba. He made sure they had plenty of food and water for the journey. It broke Abraham's heart to send his wife and son away, perhaps never to see them again. However, Yahweh had told him what to do. He could only obey. Hagar and Ishmael set off across the desert. As soon as they were out of sight of Abraham's camp, Hagar prayed to the gods of Egypt, the god she had worshipped as a child. "Isis, protect me. Amun-Ra, shield me from danger." As soon as Hagar spoke these words, all the food and water that Abraham had given her vanished. Hagar was ashamed to return to Abraham's camp to ask for more. Instead, she started off across the desert. The merciless sun beat down. Ishmael cried for water, but Hagar had none to give him. She turned from the path to look for a well and became hopelessly lost. Hagar and Ishmael wandered for hours until the boy collapsed from weariness and thirst. Hagar could not bear to watch her son suffer. She laid him beneath some willow bushes, then walked away. She sat down on a stone, weeping and praying to Yahweh for help. "Hagar, why are you weeping?" Hagar raised her eyes to see an angel standing before her. "Do not be afraid. Yahweh hears Ishmael's voice, crying in distress. Get up. Go to your son. Lift him from the dust, for Yahweh is going to save him and make him a great nation." Hagar looked around and saw a well. She filled her empty goatskin with water and brought it to Ishmael. He drank and was saved. Yahweh watched over Ishmael. He lived in the desert and became a famous archer. When he grew old enough to marry, Hagar found him a wife in Egypt. Although Ishmael's children worshipped idols, Yahweh did not forget his promise to Abraham. Ishmael had many descendants. He became the forefather of the Arab people. Soon after these events, Yahweh put Abraham's faith to a greater test. He called to him, "Abraham!" Abraham answered, "I am here." Yahweh said, "Take your son," I have 2 sons, "your only son." Each one is the only son of his mother. Ishmael is the only son of Hagar. Isaac is the only son of Sarah. "The one whom you love," said Yahweh. "I love them both," said Abraham. Finally, Yahweh said, "Isaac, that is the one I mean." "What shall I do with Isaac?" Abraham asked. Yahweh spoke the most terrible words a father can hear. "Take him to the land of Moriah. Offer him up as a sacrifice to me on a mountain that I will show you." Human sacrifice was common in those days. The people of Canaan sacrificed children to the gods they worshipped, Baal and Molech. They proved their devotion by burning their sons and daughters in the gods' fiery altars. Abraham denounced this savage custom. He taught his followers that Yahweh did not require the blood of innocent children. With a sinking heart, he heard Yahweh demand that very sacrifice from him. He had already sent away one son in his obedience to Yahweh's commandment. Now Yahweh was asking him to offer up his remaining son as a sacrifice. Abraham did not question Yahweh's word. He believed in Yahweh with perfect faith. He trusted that whatever Yahweh demanded from him was for the best. He would fulfill Yahweh's wishes, despite his own anguish. Abraham rose early the next morning. He cut the wood for the sacrifice and loaded it on his donkey. With 2 servants and his son Isaac, he started for the land of Moriah. They traveled for 3 days. On the morning of the 3rd day, Abraham raised his eyes and saw a mountain in the distance. This was the place to which Yahweh had sent him. "Wait here with the donkey," Abraham told his servants. "Isaac and I will go up on that mountain. We will offer our sacrifice and return." Abraham loaded the wood onto Isaac's back. He took a flint knife and a smoking brand to kindle the fire. Then he and Isaac started up the mountain. As they walked, Isaac spoke. "Father." "Here I am, son," Abraham immediately replied. Isaac said, "I see the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the sacrifice?" Abraham answered, "Yahweh will provide the sacrifice, my son." Isaac was not deceived. He knew about the customs of the people of Canaan. He realized that if Yahweh did not provide a lamb, he would be the sacrifice. Isaac was young and strong. He could have run away. He could have resisted. Abraham was an old man. He never could have subdued his son if Isaac had decided to fight. But Isaac's faith was as strong as Abraham's. He submitted to Yahweh's will as his father had done. Father and son walked on together. At last they reached the top of the mountain. Abraham built an altar out of rough stones. He arranged the wood. Then he tied Isaac's hands and feet and placed him upon the altar. Abraham took the knife in his hand. Tears streamed down his face as he placed the sharp blade against his son's throat. The angels in heaven wept too. They cried to Yahweh, "Are you going to allow Abraham to sacrifice his son? If he does, what will become of the promise you made to him? Ishmael's children are idol worshippers. How can Abraham become a father of multitudes if his only son, who prays to you, loses his life? Look, the knife is already at Isaac's throat. How much longer will you wait?" The angels' tears rained down from heaven. They fell into Isaac's eyes, making them dim, so that from that day on, Isaac only saw shadows and not the full shape of things. At the last moment, a voice rang out from heaven, "Abraham! Abraham!" Abraham turned his head. "Here I am." "Do not raise your hand against your son or harm him in any way. I know now that you are completely devoted to Yahweh. You have not withheld anything from me, not even your son." Abraham lowered the knife. He looked around and saw a ram whose horns were caught in a bramble bush. Abraham lifted Isaac down from the altar and sacrificed the ram in his place. The heavenly voice called to Abraham a second time. Because you did as I asked and did not withhold your son, I will bless you and multiply your descendants, so that they will be as numerous as the stars in the sky and the sands on the seashore. They will overcome their enemies. My blessing shall go out from them unto all the nations of the earth. They shall be blessed because of you. Abraham called the spot where he bound his son Adoni Yereth, which means the place where God reveals himself. This site was earlier known as Shalem, meaning peace. The two words, Yereh and Shalem, together form the word Jerusalem. This is why the city of Jerusalem has a special holiness. It stands on the place where Abraham proved his devotion to Yahweh.